Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Oh, hello there. I didn't see you come in. I'm Shane O'Hare of the Geekscape Games Podcast, the #1 video game podcast on the Geekscape.network. Join myself, Derek Krenevelt, and a guest every fortnight as we discuss video game news, video game reviews, and dissections. That's Geekscape Games every 2 weeks on Geekscape.net.
We're here to entertain you. We'll sing your songs for good times, the best times. You can't go wrong. We'll two-step, a new step. It won't be long when the Dixielanders are playing. Soon you'll be swaying, so come on, sing along.
Hello and welcome to another Musical May episode of Before My Time. I am your host, Gelsey Laurie, and this week we are joined by Biddy Bee for an indulgent conversation on Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire. Let's keep it burning. Biddy, first of all, you have a beautiful tone of voice. Your speaking voice is, I already can tell you, like, the first hello you said, I was like, I could just sit and listen to you talk. Like, I'm going to send you things, be like, record this so I can listen to that going to sleep.
No one has ever said that.
Really? Oh my gosh, you have I'm obsessed with, like, the sound. I'm obsessed with people's voices and certain, like, Elizabeth Banks is someone I love her voice. And so, like, immediately I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
That's great. It's one of those things where we hear our own voice and we're like, not for me, but to other people, they might like it. Everybody
It's
might like a
our
little
body odors.
Yes,
We're like attracted to different people's scents.
Yeah. Sometimes I like my own brand.
Pheromones?
Yeah, exactly. Just sometimes.
Okay. So I'm super excited, are talking about not only just Billy Joel, but We Didn't Start the Fire.
We didn't. We did not start the fire.
We didn't
light it, but we did try to fight it. We trying to fight it still. Yeah. Those lyrics, yes.
The lyrics are, I don't know what age, because I love Billy Joel and I listen to him all the time. And I remember I had to be a teenager when I first realized that the lyrics, like the significance they had. And I was like, wait, what is this song about? And I was like, whoa, this song is like, has a lot crammed into it.
Yeah, it's just like reference. And you're like,
yeah,
oh my God.
It's insane. I've even heard some schools, like some teachers will give this as a project to their students and be like, you have to write a paper on this song, or you have to research every reference he's making. And that would be a lot of work. I've got the lyrics in front of me because that I had to have them up because it's like so much. Yeah, I definitely don't want to write that paper, but
no, I mean, it's funny you bring that up because that's like exactly kind of my connection to this, and why I'm bringing it is like it's a little before my time. She was born in 1992. She's a young spring little flower, knee doesn't work, but the rest is still very young spring flower. The song was released in 1989, so a few years before me, but we have a teacher who is an institution at my high school here in Philadelphia. I went to a public school called Masterman here that's very small, like 100 people a class. My sister went there. My brother went there, like, just like so much legacy there. So everyone has gone through this teacher who taught world history, but then we're close to the end of the year. We've gone through all of world history up to like 1920 or something. And then he's like, all right, we got 2 weeks left and we got to cover a whole century. You're going to learn this song, learn every lyric. And the way that we did it, because to write a paper of like incorporating all of it, that would just be so intense.
That's a book.
We had to do something similar. It would be a full novel, like a multi-part series, you might say. They had, each of us were assigned 5, I think, and there were 30 kids in the class. That's how many references there are. And we had to research 5, write like a small paragraph, like 3 sentences about each, and then also do a presentation. So we basically taught the class. And then as people presented, you were supposed to take notes so that ultimately the test that we had at the end was, here's a sheet with a blank line for every single thing. You have to put down every single lyric. And then you have to, I think there were 2 parts of it. One, we had to match the U.S. president that was like, doing it. It was there at the time. And then we also had to write like a sentence about what it was referencing. I got a solid 82 and I felt good. I was like,
nice.
That feels fine. I don't need,
That's the end of the year. You know what? If it's not a fail, I'll take it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I can honestly say, looking at these lyrics, there are a few things that I'm like, I don't actually know what that is. And I feel like I should go through and like make this an assignment for myself so I can be a smarter person.
I will say, prepping for this, because it has been a while, so there are some of them that I'm just like, I still remember that reference. There are some that I absolutely did like threw out of the brain as soon as I could. But yeah, I was looking at Wikipedia, actually, is, a good source for knowledge sometimes. This is a good one where it has every lyric in order. Yeah, exactly. The Wikipedia cast. Every lyric has a line and just like a little blurb about it,
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like Richard Nixon first elected to United States Senate. Television becomes widespread throughout Europe and North America, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So do you know why Billy Joel wrote this song, or where was he like, I'm going to put all of this into a song? And
that is like a really good question. Yeah, for kids to learn in world history class. I feel like we did not get that lesson when we did it, but it's one of those songs that, hit it.
Billy Joel wrote the song, We Didn't Start the Fire. It was a response to a comment about how much harder it was growing up in the 1980s as opposed to the 1950s. He wrote the lyrics before the music and included the song in his 1989 Stormfront.
Oh, interesting. So do you think that's interesting, in the response to how much harder it is, I wonder if it's like, it's just been hard. It has been hard for a long time. And also like it's been building up. And so, it's
been building up. Yeah. And it's an engagement with politics, figureheads, war, and the tumultuous years between Joel's birth in 1949 and the song's release. So he's like, this is what I've been alive for.
Wait,
look
that's
how much has happened.
I would love to see one of those for like, we didn't start the fire part 2 for the last,
starting
3
from
decades.
Like 1990 to now.
Oh my God.
I'm going to write it. Where would I even begin? I'd be like, Simpsons on Fox and Trump becomes the president, or like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. There's a lot in between those, but like, that's pretty good.
I just jumped from like the good old 90s 6 p.m. Fox slot to last year's presidency, and that sums it all up.
Yep, it's like, there it is. That's all you needed to know. Yeah,
that's what we got.
Nothing else happened,
Gosh, I don't even know how to start with this song. Like, do we just go through the song?
That's a good idea. I love that. Oh
we can like pass the ones that were like, that's stupid.
Yeah, we should definitely like sing like a little bar, because I can still do that. I can, even if I don't know all of them are, I can like, we can go through little chunks, because there's like,
oh my gosh, can this be a sing along?
It can be, and it will.
Let's do it. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I've not done a sing along yet.
Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Johnny Ray, South Pacific, Walter Winchell, Joe DiMaggio. That's a good little chunk.
That is
We
a
get these
good
little
little.
chunks. Yeah, yeah. I will say that's 1948 through 1949 right there.
It
Harry
is, yeah.
Truman wins the 1948 presidential election. So it's like, okay, hello, President. Doris Day
Like her prime of being the it
in
girl.
beautiful film. Yeah, exactly. It's Magic, supposedly, is this song that's made famous there. Red China is the Communist Party, comes to power in China. Johnny Ray, rock and roll icon. South Pacific, the Broadway musical, of course. I love that a Broadway musical casually slips into this list of really important world
Yeah. Well, I guess like it would have been like a huge. I mean, because if this is just coming out of World War II, I mean, it's like some years later, but still in the 40s, that like that influence in culture too of like the South Pacific. I mean, that's when we start getting like all the tiki bars, which is my favorite.
Yeah, exactly. Like delicious
I'm a tiki bar.
beverages everywhere.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to live inside every tiki bar. I
Yeah.
love them.
Yeah. Speaking of South Pacific, it's just like, I'm sure, yeah, at the time it was probably absolutely like, because we just came out of a war that was fought in the Pacific. And so to then like, there's some military presence in it, but it also kind of like reconnects to like the human nature. Definitely like is a product of its time, right? Like there's a reason
For
we
sure,
ain't
yeah, I
casually
know.
throwing South Pacific anymore. But in its historical context, it was probably, yeah, really, really impactful. There wasn't a lot of, humanization distribution. It was probably all like war propaganda to that point. So people probably heard Bally High and were like, let's go.
Hey, I listen to Belly High and I'm like, let's go.
Let's go. Exactly.
I don't know who Walter Winchell is.
I don't either. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm like,
Okay, I was like,
is
that's
that
one name I don't know.
Exactly. That's probably one of the ones that I was like, I'll go with the B, please. Yeah. I'm gonna let him have his time. Looks like an influential radio and newspaper journalist.
Okay,
Begins
Walter.
to denounce communism as the main threat facing America. So probably part of the Red Scare kind of moment. Ooh, ew, gross.
Yeah.
It's probably like one of those like Fox News anchors of their time kind of thing.
It sounds like that's what I love about this song too. I feel like I can have so many little anecdotes, but I love that like all is in it. Like it's good, bad, ugly. It's not just like these are the high notes. It was just like this is all the shit from like an H-bomb in Disneyland being in the same song. Like I love that.
Yeah, I get fully that. Yeah. And then Joe DiMaggio, the last of this series, looks like $100,000 contract signed with the New York Yankees. Cannot even imagine. I'm sure $100,000 at the time was absolutely unheard of, and it's like, look at it now.
A lot. And ironically, I know at the end of this phrase, we have like two more lines. It ends with Marilyn Monroe, and Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe were married.
Stop it.
Yeah, did you not know that?
Well, I knew that. I just, I never made the lyrical musical connection. There's layers here. Oh no.
Joel knows what he's doing.
No, he's a genius. Oh God.
Joel.
Okay. Speaking of the next stanza, to catch that, so we go, Joe DiMaggio, Joe McCarthy, Richard Nixon, Studebaker, television, North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe. Honey, that's it. Oh my gosh. Wait. Oh, I'm like never gonna hear this song the same. Quick anecdote real quick. So I actually did kind of love this song, just like the flex of kind of knowing it. At one point I could just sing all the words.
Oh, it's so much fun to know a song that's wordy and be like, look what I can do.
Just
oh,
like,
party trick.
Yeah, it's like, it's not rap, but it is intense as hell.
It's hard, yeah.
It's hard. And I remember I would host bonfires during summer between like freshman, sophomore year of college or something. And at one point we had We Didn't Start the Fire bonfire. And I gave everyone lyrics that they had to throw into the fire, like on little sheets of paper as we played the song. I don't know. I was like, this is a fun activity. Not realizing that no one had any idea when their lyrics were in the song. So I just kept pointing at people.
Like a mad conductor around the fire.
Like, throw it in the fire now. Was not successful. If anybody out there would like to start We Didn't Start the Fire, bonfire, you just got to send the song out way in advance, Give people a few months.
Start the fire bonfire.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not on my bucket list. That's a brilliant idea.
It's springtime. Springtime is the perfect time for the We Didn't Start the Bonfire. So this group
anyways,
looks
Joe
like
McCarthy.
we get into the 1950s now. So it's just, oh my God. Yeah. I can't even. This is 1950. Sorry, not even the 50s. This is just 50. Joe McCarthy, U.S. Senator, very anti-communist, very Red Scare continued. Richard Nixon gets to the United States Senate, not quite president yet. Studebaker. I'd heard of this, but this is another one of those I'm not super familiar with.
Yeah, I
Automobile
don't know.
company, but it looks like
Okay.
it starts falling apart at that time.
Hmm.
Television becomes widespread. North Korea invades South Korea, beginning the Korean War. That was one of those that I don't think in school we ever
No,
touched
we
on.
never learned about the Korean War either. And it's interesting. They just like kind of go over it. And I remember my mom's dad fought in the Korean War, and it was like, oh, what war when I was older? Oh, he fought in Korean War. And I was like, what the fuck is
What the
that? And I was
fuck
like,
is that?
what?
When
That's not
is it?
Vietnam. And
What
it was,
is it? Like, why? What? It was just like, yeah,
I was much older, like as an adult, and I had to look into it myself. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay.
big
Left
fucking
that out of
deal.
the textbook.
Truly,
That's
they
funny,
were
I
just like,
noticed that
nah,
too.
we're good. Yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah, but we got one lyric here for it, so that's there we go. Well, actually, North Korea, South Korea, so we referenced the North Korea invading South Korea. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's
And let's
2
just
lyrics
like
worth.
make them all forget with Marilyn Monroe.
And Marilyn Monroe.
And we all know who that is. And if you don't, you should jump off a cliff. I sometimes
You
tell my
should not be
listeners
here
to.
right now. Yeah. But yeah, Marilyn Monroe, we probably don't need to go into it, but it looks like in 50 at least, it's that her film career really started to shoot off at that point. And then we're in the 1950s. Would you like to, I don't know if you're familiar enough with the song to sing this next little stanza of lyrics. You want to take a shot at it?
It's the
Rosenbergs?
yeah, I got the Rosenbergs. It's the
Pam. Oh, I can.
yeah.
Panmujam. Panmujam.
Yeah,
That's so okay.
That.
It's like
Jump in there with me.
Yeah.
Rosenbergs, H-bomb, Sugar Ray,
Panmujam, Marlon Brando, King and I, and the Catcher in the Rye. Yeah, that one is hard.
Yeah, that's like, thank you. Thanks for giving me that one.
No, I know. I was like, do you want to take this really difficult one?
Well, I can't read that word.
Yeah, exactly. No, that is fair. This is just 1951. I didn't also realize until just this, it looks like every stanza may be 1 year. And we'll see if that keeps up, because that's starting to trip me up. Like, that's pretty cool.
Be Joel.
Let's see. Rosenberg's married couple, Ethel and Julius, are convicted of espionage. Interesting. Ooh. Probably was just like a cool like spy thriller moment in real life. H-bomb, hydrogen bomb is starting to be developed. Sugar Ray Robinson, champion boxer, defeats Jake LaMotta. That's it.
Because I associated it with the Sugar Ray band from the 90s, which I knew it wasn't talking about that because this is the 50s, but I was like, I only know one Sugar Ray.
I was just trying to think. It's Sugar Ray. The
what song they sing?
Is that it?
Yeah.
When you're on a holiday. Yeah, exactly. That's what Billy Joel wanted. Yeah.
That was them, right?
No, that was Weezer.
That was Weezer. Yeah. I was like, wait, that was Weezer.
Hey,
I just thought that was like, wait, no,
theater.
that's Weezer.
Musical theater. I love trying to all sing together with a slight delay on it. I was in an a cappella group and was like, we can't do this digitally, can we? No.
It's not possible. Oh, gosh.
Hopefully Matt can
B. Joel is definitely not
together.
talking about them.
No.
So.
Exactly.
On.
And then the harder word to pronounce, Panmujam, a border village in Korea, which location of truce talks between the parties of the Korean War. So the Korean War, I guess it was shorter, but yeah, still long-lasting implications today. Marlon Brando nominated for Academy Award for Best Actor in A Streetcar Named Desire. It is iconic. That is.
It is. Yeah.
King and I. Yeah, he deserves a line. King and I, another musical moment. Ooh. We're just like, very important.
We are important. We impact culture. Musical theater impacts culture.
Yes.
Changes
my
lives.
gosh. Another one that is like, more of its time, but I feel like King and I stands up better, definitely like on the better end of things. Rodgers and Hammerstein, always a good time.
It is.
And then the last one, The Catcher in the Rye. I've never read it. Have you read
No, I haven't, but I just went to a bar 2 weeks ago in North Hollywood called The Catcher in the Rye, and all their drinks were like literary spinoffs, like Tequila Mockingbird. They had of course, a Gatsby drink. And it was really cute, but it's called Catching the Rye. So that's what I think of is my good old tequila mockingbird
I
drink.
think a bar like that exists in San Francisco as well, where I was for a while before moving to Philly.
Okay.
And like, it's a good theme. If it's a good
It's
theme,
a
let's go
great
ahead
theme, and
and
there's like
every
books
city needs one.
everywhere. Yeah, I think we should definitely franchise. Like everyone needs a
They
literary
might-
bar.
I feel like there's a chance that these two bars are connected. It's just
They
like
might be.
it's sounding a little too the same bar I went to, and I'm like,
Yeah, it might be.
how did
And
you
what I
do
love
that?
is you don't have to have had read the novel to enjoy the beverage.
That's a very important thing because otherwise their clientele would be slightly limited. It's one of those books. Yeah, it's like we're so all supposed to have read it in middle school or high school, but
We
then
all
it was
like definitely
controversial
spark
and we
noted the
just
shit
didn't.
out of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
fully, yeah.
I was like, I could get the B back to just like
Exactly.
sliding by with no work
Yeah.
done. I definitely
Yeah.
watched a few movies of novels and was like, great.
Yeah.
My teacher actually did that. We were supposed to, like, we weren't in the AP class of literature. I just took like
I didn't do that
the
either.
normal lit.
Yeah.
And we did not read Count of Monte Cristo. He's like, so all my classes are taking a test, but I don't give you guys as much work. So we're just going to watch the movie and then you guys can take the test.
Oh,
Like,
a
our
good
teacher let us
movie
cheat.
too. A great movie.
Great movie. Guy Pearce in it. He's one of my favorite actors. Like, most of my literature classes turned into film classes for me, and I learned more about films and like wrote papers on movies than I did books, which worked out better for my life and my line of work.
Sometimes we know early on what matters for us,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's not reading, tons of novels and
Or
things.
I've done like a lot of compare and contrast. Like we would read the novel and then they would show us the film, and I would have to like write a paper on the difference of the film and the movie, and I'm like, this is a film class.
Yes, no, that's everything. The weird connection here is I also was like senior year, I was like, I don't want to take AP literature. Like, it's not my cup of tea. And our class also turned into a film class because our teacher was a film major. And essentially at one point we were just like, we're not going to finish. Like, we'll finish the Shakespeare, but we're not reading anymore after that. And she was like, that's fine. We watched The Godfather, part 1, 2, and 3 in school.
Great.
Or 1 and 2. I was there 3? I don't even know. We definitely watched 1 and 2 though. And I remember we'd have these sheets about like, well, when does the music come in and like analyzing it? But we mostly just enjoyed it.
But that's an important education on its own. Like, I feel like there are so many people that are very book smart and you can read all the books. Not saying, still read, kids.
Reading is good.
Reading's good, but cultural education, sometimes people are smarter with a better pop culture realm. And I sometimes can run circles in my education, quote unquote, through my film knowledge, because I've got film knowledge from the 30s, and I start like spitting out stuff and people are like, you're so smart. And I'm like, you went to Harvard. And they're like, yeah, but you're smarter. And I'm like, I am, aren't I?
Also in our world of performance, like it's
Mm-hmm.
knowing different mediums, knowing different references, knowing like, influences as they come through. Like those are much more important to us. Now, the crap, I studied material science and engineering in college, and it's like, I haven't used that a lick in my life. What? It was cool to learn it, but I don't talk about it at dinner parties, and I definitely don't use it in my drag performance or my, I do some
you should find a
spreadsheet
way
work.
to bring it in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do like working with unconventional materials. You'll see right here, this is a foam wig. I like to wear a lot of
so
foam
cool.
pieces and stuff, but it has nothing to do with material science. Maybe like 20 years ago it might have, or 40 years ago, but now it's just foam,
No, it's just foam.
It's just foam. I'm just realizing we're only getting to 1952. I'm just scrolling a little bit. I don't think there's any way in hell we're going to be able to talk about every one of them. Maybe we do stanzas and pick 1 or 2 that we like.
I think we can like say goodbye to the 50s and we get through a good course. We've got vaccine, Eisenhower, England's got a new queen. That's a polio vaccine. Liberace, he was big. And
Liberace.
Yeah, gotta love Liberace. So, we all know that. And then we get into a good, we didn't start the fire.
The fire finally.
It was always burning since the world. Oh, there's a delay.
Yeah, I know. We were in my year, it was good. But
I heard so this next stanza, Joseph Stalin, Melankov. We're talking about
this one's hard. Yeah, Nasser
Prokofiev.
Joseph Stalin Malenkov.
Can we just say Russia?
Yeah, something about
I'm just gonna change that whole line too.
Yeah, exactly. Russian things. And then Rockefeller, Campanella, Communist Bloc. Yeah.
More communism. A lot of
Yeah,
communism in this
a
song.
lot of 50s, honey. That was
That's
things. I'm also glad I did not live through communism because the gays did not thrive in in the Red Scare. So I'm like, okay, good. Thank you to
Neither did
everyone else who
unmarried, unwed, non-children 30-year-old women. So
Oh, yeah.
I'd have been a downright spinster at this
Yeah,
point.
it would have been. Yeah, they would have had a witch hunt. 54, Roy Khan, Juan Perón, another not quite musical theater reference, but it will be eventually. Let's see. Oh God, I lost it. There we go. Tuscanini, Dacron, Dien Bien Phu Falls, Rock Around the Clock. Yeah. We start with some Vietnam. It's just like war, a lot of war.
Yeah, I know. A lot of his communism war. Fun fact. Okay, so Rock Around the Clock is officially, historically, the first rock and roll song. Historians and musicians have claimed Rock Around the Clock is like the birth of rock and roll. So that's why it's a huge. Yeah, that's so cool.
Hit single released by Bill Haley and his Comets. Very cool. We're 55 now. We're moving with gas.
We're moving,
now
yeah.
This century is going hard. Albert Einstein, iconic. James Dean, Brooklyn's got a winning team. A little boring for the Broadway crowd.
No, we're like,
That's
sports.
fine. Davy Crockett, Peter Pan, Elvis Presley, Disneyland.
Probably
Peter
my favorite
Pan.
line.
Exactly. Yeah, we got 2 Disney references right in a row. Peter Pan featured in an anime feature, also subject of a stage musical starring Mary Martin.
Grew up with that video.
Yeah.
I grew up with that video.
I think Mary Martin's an inspiration to many people.
I probably reference that. I would say at least once a week. It could be a daily thing that somehow Mary Martin Peter Pan comes up in my life.
Just the poses. Yeah, the flight, the taking flight is iconic. Disneyland. Oh, Disneyland opened 1955. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good to know for the reunion, the anniversary years, because those are fun.
Yeah, I know. I work there currently, so I'm all up onto.
That's it. We're in 56. I don't know if I know this next person. Bridget
Bardot.
Bridget Bardot.
Very iconic, like pinup girl, centerfold. Yeah,
that's it.
Stunner.
They say sex kitten, international.
Sex kitten. I would exactly call her a sex kitten. Yeah, she'd always wear like the big oversized sweaters with the kind of sex hair and.
I might need to look for some inspiration from Bridget Bardot.
Yeah.
Budapest, Alabama, Khrushchev, Princess Grace Kelly, Peyton Place, Trouble in the Suez. Grace Kelly in Philly. Here we have Kelly Drive. So like the Grace Kelly family is very Philly centric. So I even grew up with that, and I was like, oh, got at least 1 point on the test there.
Is that when Grace Kelly became the Princess of Monaco, right? Or is
yes, exactly. Mary's Prince Rainier the Third of Monaco became Princess of Monaco in 56. Just like what a I just love that people focused on it. It's like, this is kind of cool. Like, it's like, actress. And like
I guess that's like our Meghan Markle. Like, we just kind of went with that.
Yeah.
Through that with her. She was an actress that was like, I'm going to be a princess. Well, now she's like
it's just like
duchess or I don't know. And now she's like, fuck that. And they
it's the Anne Hathaway story. We love an Anne Hathaway story.
We do love an Anne Hathaway story.
I love it. I also will say, I think we're about to get in. So that we had the Red Scare, and I think we probably still do for a while because there's still a lot of Russia shit. But also we're getting into a lot of civil rights kind of movement stuff. Alabama, the site of the Montgomery bus boycott. And then I was just looking at 57. We got Little Rock, where the governor kind of like, tried to fight against the federal government in like letting the Little Rock Nine attend a high school when they were desegregating. So is this like state versus federal, like states trying to hold on to their racist past and luckily failing, but we're going to go through a lot. They still kind of
are sometimes.
But they are still fucking around like that shit. Oh my God.
We laugh so we don't cry.
Because we didn't start the fire, but it is still burning. Pasternak, some more Russian shit. Mickey Mantle, some more sports shit. Kerouac, I'm gonna let that go.
Yeah, nope, get that B.
Sputnik, very fun. I don't know if you've seen actually on Apple Plus. There's a new series called For All Mankind or something like that.
I've known some friends that have been stuntmen in that had to like sit in an astronaut suit all day, and they were like, that was the hardest gig because I was in all my friends are stunt people. So.
Wait, that's so cool. Yeah. It is fantastic. So I'm like, they're part of something that is truly like a beautiful thing. But the premise is kind of like, what if Russia beat the United States to the moon? And then the space race
Okay.
kind of continues and intensifies and accelerates. And it's
Oh,
very cool, very
interesting.
like
Oh, I
human though.
like
It's like,
those.
yeah.
Have you seen The Man in the High Tower or The Man in the High
Hmm.
Castle, or and it's like as
It's
if Germany and Japan won World War II, and
exactly.
it's like
It's
that
like that.
alternate.
It's the alternate universe. It's a little less camp. I feel like I watched Man in the High Castle. It was very like high drama, but it was kind of like, ooh, like like a campy kind
Yeah,
of like
I
suspense
know what you
thriller.
mean.
This one is
Hmm.
more, yeah, this one's like slight shift in the world. And I think a lot of the characters they bring in were like huge figures and like,
Okay.
anyway, it was very cool. But yeah, Sputnik we got. I don't know if I remember this one. Uh and
Shalom.
Lai, and it's Zhao Lai, premier
Shalom.
of the People's Republic of China, survives an assassination attempt. That would have probably been a big deal. Bridge on the River Kwai. That's the movie, Best Picture. We're in the late 50s now. Lebanon, Charles de Gaulle, California baseball, Starkweather homicide, Children of Thalidomide. I will say the one here that stood out to me growing up was Children of Thalidomide. It's one of those things that like without a song like this, it would just be like I would never have ever been exposed to it. But it was essentially there's this drug. Of course, they're developing so many technologies and chemicals and
Hmm.
drugs in the 50s, 60s, 70s, all of that. But this drug thalidomide created a lot of issues with pregnancy, and so children would come out missing limbs or kind of like having physical abnormalities and
Oy,
things like that from congenital birth defects and things. Yeah,
interesting. Wait, what's
Children of
Starkweather
Thalidomide.
homicide? That's what reached out. I'm a
Yeah.
stereotypical girl that's like, ooh, murder, wine
Yeah,
and murder show, chill, or whatever. Like
I
we're
was
all
just
obsessed with
about to
it.
say,
We like it's a girl thing, and
murder
I don't know
porn.
why. Yeah, we love true crime, so it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, there'll probably be one about this because it's here. It's ripe for the pickings. Buddy Holly, Ben Hur, Space Monkey Mafia, Hula
Mafia,
Hoops,
hula hoops,
Castro.
Castro,
Edsel
Edsel
is a
is
no
a
go.
no go.
Yeah, exactly. And none of this, but Ben Hur important. It was like the biggest
Yeah,
movie until Titanic, I think,
yeah, I
proceeds
think so.
wise. So that's pretty big from
Is
the
this the year Buddy
50s.
Holly dies?
This is the year that Buddy Holly dies in the plane
Yeah,
crash.
the day
Yeah.
the music dies. That's what that song's about. The day the music died. That's about Buddy Holly dying.
Did I not know that? Oh my god!
I know.
I hate that I didn't know that. That's
No, it's
incredible.
okay. It's kind of one of those things because we all know the song so much. We're like, bye, bye, Miss
Bye, Miss
America.
America,
But yeah,
bye.
it's about that because that was a huge impact on the music industry.
We're in the 60s. U2, Sigmund Rhee, Payola Kennedy, Chubby Checker
Chubby checker
Psycho,
psycho,
Belgians in the
Belgians in the
Congo.
Congo.
Yeah.
Did you two start in the '60s? Am I an idiot? Is that like the
No,
band you two?
it's that's a
Oh,
good.
I
I
was
was
like,
like,
wait,
they are older, but 60 seems
but they're
intense.
not like.
Spy plane. It was a spy plane flown
That's
by
why they're named.
American
Okay,
CIA
my
pilot.
bad. I
Yeah.
just proved to everyone that I'm an idiot and they should trust nothing I say
Yeah.
because I know nothing.
I think that was like one of those moments where it was like, this is the closest we got to like nuclear war breaking out. It was like,
Yeah.
like, oops. Any
Oops.
others come out to me?
Obviously, Kennedy.
Kennedy's fine.
Is that when he is assassinated?
This is when he wins for the presidential election in 1960.
Okay,
I wonder.
I
think
got
we
a little
get
lost of what year we
I
were
think
at.
we get Kennedy again though, and I think they reference that as another parallel in the song. I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
go through and see if
JFK
there's
blown
other
away.
blown
Oh,
away.
yeah. Oh,
Intense.
that's Chubby Checker, Psycho was a huge movie that came out, and
Yeah.
Belgians in the Congo is fun as fucking sing.
Yeah, I feel like exactly, Belgium, the Congo, and yeah, I think this was probably like towards the end of like when the African continent is becoming independent from a lot of the European powers. So Belgium, the Congo is like the Republic of Congo was declared independent of Belgium. At the time, I think it was called something different than the Republic of the Congo, but that's the current name. But yeah, 61. Do you want to take this one? I will. Let's look ahead.
I think I can do this
I
one.
think you got these.
Okay, excuse
you
me.
got all of them, I'm sure. There was that one word.
Hemingway, Eachman, Strangers in a Strange Land, Dylan Berlin. No, I fucked up already. Dylan Berlin, Bay of Pigs Invasion.
Heck, yes. And I think the only Adolf Eichmann was the one, but otherwise,
Oh, Eichmann.
otherwise that was a
I'll take
very
that B.
stunning pronunciation round right there. Yeah,
Thanks.
and that is burned into the head. But yeah, Hemingway, author, dies there. Eichmann, Nazi war criminal convicted of crimes in World War II. That's actually very weird side from my family. Just like, I don't know, it rarely comes up, but one of my ancestors was one of the judges on the Nuremberg trials.
Really?
Figured out what to do. Francis Biddle is one of my
Wow,
ancestors.
that's really cool.
I was like, yo, you did a pretty good job, ancestor. Thank you.
That's a good job. Yeah, I went to Nuremberg on a tour. I was there in Germany, and it's crazy when you. And I remember being like, "Oh, the Nuremberg trials were here," and there's like this like hill you can climb up to go to this kind of castle, if you will. And it was crazy to see the city from above because you could see how bombed to shit they got because they rebuilt all their buildings to match the ones that were still there to keep it looking kind of old and their classic little German town. But you could just see the discoloration of like, oh, that roof is new and that one's old. And it really put in perspective of how many newer, brighter colors there were trying to match up. And it was like, oh my God, all that was bombed and rebuilt. And it was one of those moments that I was like, oh fuck, like you see this in textbooks, but to be there in person and see it, it was wild.
Yeah. I have not yet been to Europe, but that is like kind of one of the most one of the biggest reasons I'd like to be in like Germany and a bunch of places. I'd like to see some of the ancient cities that really didn't get bombed to shit. Like I feel like Istanbul. It's like
I've been to Istanbul. Yeah, it's awesome. Greece, Athens, like to see the ruins, you're just like
let's see. Those were some fun ones, but I think we can go on.
Yeah, I think we all know what Berlin Bay of Pigs invasion is. If you don't, figure it out. These are all this is a very pop culture-y. Lawrence of Arabia, British Beetle. Wait, Lawrence of Arabia,
it's like Lawrence of Arabia,
British Beetle, maybe. Miss John Glenn Lipton beats Patterson.
That's exactly.
We got John Glenn in space, which is super fun. I love NASA and the space race.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're gonna like this little show too. Yeah.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
very good. Very good. Like some big references in there. 1963 got I can't actually remember this. Pope Paul Malcolm X, British politician, sex, JFK, blown away. What else do I have to say?
Yeah. He was like, fuck, I don't know what else to put there. What else do I have? He's like nothing.
He's like, bitch, that was a wild
That's all that happened.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now I think it gets into a place, luckily, where there wasn't so much happening every year that they could combine a few years in a row. This looks like 1965, 68, and 69 are one group, which I'm like, thank God people got a break, because after JFK dies, it's like everyone's just like, fuck, come on. We've been doing war.
I think that was a big.
We've been doing civil rights, protests at that point. Like everyone.
Oh, gosh, and we're about to go into some heavier shit, though. I feel like it is like that break, and then we're like, "Hey, kids, you want to go to Vietnam?"
Oh yeah. Oh God, it's coming.
I know.
It's like here. Sorry, it's here.
It's here. Actually, you don't get a break. Buckle up.
Yeah. Also, we got birth control, Ho Chi Minh, Richard Nixon back again, Moonshot, Woodstock, Watergate, punk rock. That actually gets us all the way from 1965 to 1975, because I feel like Billy Joel was probably like, I don't have that much more song I can write.
Like, I can't do that.
I got
He's
2
like,
decades
I started
left.
too eager. Yeah, he was like, I got eager in the beginning. It's like we all do it when we're like start something. We're like, I'm going to make it so detailed and this, that, and by the end you're like, just fucking throw paper over it, throw fabric over it. It's done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Richard Nixon back again. So Richard Nixon lost to Kennedy, but does win in 1968. Boo.
And then comes back with Watergate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like very. Yeah, it's right. It's in the same stanza. They said, "Oh, gotcha." Apollo 11 gets the first human landing on the moon, 1969. A good, sexy year for that. Woodstock Music Festival, 400,000 people. I feel like I didn't realize how.
Oh yeah, it was like a clusterfuck. It became problematic because there was like no water, no food, and they weren't prepared for the amount of people that arrived. Like they weren't prepared at all. And it's so, there's a really good documentary on it. And it's you're watching it and you're just like, holy shit. There were like babies born there. Like one woman went to labor. Oh yeah. I'm sure there was like tons of babies conceived there. Hey-o.
Yeah, exactly. There's like a little population spike. Like
what happened to Woodstock?
Well, that's the Woodstock population. Boop. Yeah. Watergate, we just talked about a little bit. Iconic. Raucous bands such as the Ramones and the Sex Pistols are founded. So it sounds like punk rock really kicks into high gear in the early 70s. And that's the end of that little section. So yeah, we get all the way to 1965. And then
Oh, we're getting Middle Eastern now. We're going into. It's like you can see when like it's interesting to go through this song and like such a thing, and it's like where in the world the problems are, and now we're getting into Palestine, Iran, Afghanistan, and that kind of falls into like our lifetime.
It truly, this is where it really starts to feel like current, and it's amazing.
Mhm.
You go and you're like, this happened in the 50s, but like it's 100% still visible today. But these ones feel like very tangible. I was gonna say the Korean
Mhm.
War also is just like it's still like we're still
Still
So I guess 50s, it doesn't matter. All this shit is like still direct effect on our lives. But yeah, this one
Mhm.
we have is this Began? I don't
Vegan? I
remember that
know.
rhyme. Began Reagan, I think
Take the
so. It's
B.
like no, this one's the fast one. It's Began Reagan Palestine,
That
terror
you're in
on
the
the airline,
airline.
Ayatollahs in Iran,
Russia's in
Russians in Afghanistan,
Afghanistan. That's right.
Russians. It's
I know.
always the
And we're
Russians.
back.
We're back to the
Russia.
Russians. But
And
yeah,
you know what?
you're absolutely right. There's like this moment of people like clustering in and issues happening all in kind of the
Mhm.
Middle East at this point. Yeah, that fucking sucks. It really
Oh
sucks.
yeah.
Yeah, all of the
It
influences.
is.
There are garbage. I love that we're like this song really breezes through all of history. It's like you could do an entire podcast on every single one of these.
Single.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
I
in here
know. We're
that
just like, oh,
isn't.
and then this, you know what that is, but it's true.
Just
That's why I was like, you couldn't write a paper on this. This is like each one of these things is its own book.
Yeah.
Each one of these topics has like probably 20 plus books written about
Yes.
them and documentaries and series. And it's just, I love how he's like, and track 7. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're just good. We're doing our best to give people an interest so they get excited and go
it's a
explore some more.
smorgasbord. It's a tapas platter of history. And
Yes,
we are just trying to
toppings.
get that cute B and pass this class.
Exactly. I'm trying to get that 82 and go. Yeah, speaking of the 80s, we are in the 80s already.
Oh, hey.
We're on the final little stretch.
They're so quick.
Yeah, do you want to take this next one?
Let's do it. All right.
Trying to
Wheel
remember
of
the
Fortune,
details.
Sally Ride, heavy metal, suicide, foreign debts, homeless vets, AIDS, crack, Bernie
Bernie Getz. Yeah, exactly.
Why is there an O in there? I was all
spelled weird, but it is Bernie Getz. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I thought. And I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't look like Getz.
Yeah,
Damn,
Wheel of Fortune still going strong today. Sally Ride I went to Stanford University, and Sally Ride is like one of our like most iconic alumni because she's just like that for a first American woman bitch and queer woman too, just like took it right up into space. It's just like very cool. Unfortunately, passes away on the Challenger shuttle mission. Is that correct? I might be crossing my things up here.
Please
but
hold.
was definitely 83 becomes the first American woman in space by flying aboard the Challenger on a certain shuttle mission. I don't know if it happened to be the one. Are you doing a little Google?
I am. She was the youngest American astronaut to have traveled to space, having done so at age 32. Oh my god, I gotta get to space in a year to beat her.
That's your next one. Disney, then yeah.
I gotta get to space ASAP. Like,
yeah.
if someone listening to this can just get me to space, what's Jeff Bezos? If you just want to throw me up for funsies, you guys they're just like putting people up for fun now.
They really are now. Yeah, they're just shooting people up there.
Yeah,
that is cool. That is cool. But yeah, Sally Ride is an icon, a queer legend. Yeah.
Oh no, she died of cancer.
Okay. Yeah.
She
was on the Challenger, but not on that mission of it.
Yes, she did go on the Challenger, but not that one. Yeah.
That's it. AIDS comes in, really fucks up a generation of the queers. Unfortunately, like we still talk about that a lot, where it's just like there's just like a whole gap in our like lineage of like elder structure from dealing with that.
Huge. Yeah. And it's so current that like it is affecting. You know, it's not one of those things where you're like 50 years ago and more, you can kind of, there's like, you see that population recovery and we're still there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think some of the stats put it at like a quarter, a third of like gay men at that time, like passed away in like a certain age group of like, you know, who would now be in their 50s, 60s kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also like, we're just getting to the point now where we've got PrEP, we've got these like we've actually have things that can be more preventative around it.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool is a bad term for this, but the fact that we've been driving research on HIV AIDS for so long is actually one of the big reasons we were able to get the RNA vaccine for COVID was because it built
Interesting.
off of all of the RNA research that had been going on
Oh,
for
that's
HIV
really cool.
AIDS
I
for
dare I say it is
decades.
cool. That's neat.
It's
Like
really
that we
cool.
can do that with science and that because some people are like, why do we fund this research for that and this? And it's like, there you go.
Because it
That's why
changes the world.
people.
Yeah. And now that so much money, because of course pandemic, there's an urgency of that kind of shitty that we didn't have the funding before, but because of that huge burst of funding there, the HIV and vaccine is like a reality, like that is being
That's
published
amazing.
on the news. It's like it's coming, and that's just like what. That was
Yeah.
awesome. Like that, and like
It is
unfortunate that it
awesome.
took us until this point, but I'm like just glad for all of that groundwork that went in from '83 till now, so that that we could at least benefit from all of that work. And there's just like so many generations of people who fought for that shit. It's like, thank you. We would be really wrecked without all those people.
Yeah. No, I think it is. It's like we forget to think about the people that fought on the foregrounds, and it's like everything that we have today, like in so many aspects.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
oh,
in
shit,
Philly
somebody-
queer history, the lesbian community, and this wasn't just Philly, but the like queer woman community really stepped up to the plate for queer on behalf of like queer men who like were so affected and grieving and like just like being ravaged by this disease. And yeah, there's a lot of like old historic signs that talk about like queer women starting like the AIDS library and these programs that like help deliver food and medicine and like take care of people when like people couldn't enter the medical establishment because there's so much fear and hysteria around it. So yeah, it's just like shout out to like the interconnectedness. It's like with all the oneness of everyone.
Yeah.
Like queer femmes, like y'all are iconic. Thank God for y'all.
Snaps. Hey.
Yes, snaps.
We need more of that.
Okay,
We
I
need more
went
people
on a little.
coming
That
together.
just happens to
No,
be
I love
something
it.
that I care a bit about. And so
No, that's what this podcast is for, is for
God.
things we love and what we care about, and to be able to like go on rants about the things closest to our heart.
I love it.
Yeah,
Before our
it's important.
time, of course. Yeah.
Before our time.
Yeah, Bernie Getz is like just like a name that like I somehow knew before this song. I feel like that's just again so close to our time. But yeah, basically is like this person who was cleared of murder charges in the New York subway, just like a little too close to home, like kind of for today's world. So there's
Okay.
enough people are dealing with enough there
Moving
already.
on.
Exactly. We're
my gosh,
at
let's
the
do the
end here
last-
though. We are
This
true
is
in the
incredible.
last strip. 1988, hypodermics on the shore, #New Jersey. It's so bad. But essentially it's like there's a lot of medical waste, again, talking about like these few decades of just like chemicals, medical supplies. Like we just like didn't have our shit together on the regular.
We got out of control. We literally were just like given a lot of candy, and mom and dad left home, and we were like,
yeah.
Like, and whoops. I think we're starting to realize like, oh, if you eat too much candy, you get a bellyache, and
Exactly.
we're trying to like retract what we've done, but now we all have diabetes. So
Did you grow up with like your parents teaching you like to be careful about sand, like walking in the sand, or like sandboxes at playgrounds because of the worry about
sandboxes? It was
needles?
more, what we were taught was the ball pit at McDonald's.
Oh, was that for
there
like
was
germs?
I think there was like a needle in like a ball pit one time, like on the news, and so it was always like the ball pit became like this like dark evil place, and that was one of my favorite places because you could just like dive in.
Yeah, and it only takes one person to put a razor blade in an apple, and it's like we don't eat apples anymore,
Totally, it's yeah.
But I remember growing up with this idea of like the sand, like at certain places, like we didn't walk in the sand barefoot because it was just like, and I imagine it was this incident like from the late '80s that probably like informed the generation of parenting.
Well, I grew up in California, and so we were on the West Coast, and so if that was Jersey, like it just California beaches they're not that nice, to be honest, but the California beach culture is just more chill.
Yeah, it's way more chill, and it's a little less dense. Like our beaches are packed from top to bottom with just like
we have so much beach. They're just like spread out. Like God, I definitely was barefoot. I was probably naked on the beach in California as
rolling
a kid.
naked,
rolling in the sand. I have pictures of me just like covered in sand. Yeah. I was like the naked beach baby, which if I ever have a kid, that's gonna be my child.
Naked beach baby? Yeah.
Oh yeah. They'll be like, I want to put a t-shirt on. I'm like, no, be a naked beach baby.
Yeah. So we've got the hypodermics on the shore. We're, wearing our flip-flops. We're being shoebies out here in New Jersey. And then China's under martial law. China does like pop up sporadically throughout here. I mean,
Yeah.
that
They're
is
still,
real.
they're like, hey.
Yeah, and I think this one talks specifically about like the Tiananmen protests, which like rock the world. I feel like imagery wise, and then rock and roll Cola Wars. What a way to end a song! If I fully honest, like what rock and roll Cola Wars? I can't do this anymore. I can't take it anymore. Yeah, like,
that's what I love about this song too. Is like him singing it. Like obviously the lyrics are amazing, but his energy as the whole song goes, and it does, like by that point I can't take, like you can feel the just like fuck in his, he really goes there being like, this is fucking too much, and the angst, and it's just building, and it's like, oh, like you said, you're like, okay, we're gonna get a little break, and I'm like, no, we're not, here comes Vietnam.
Never.
Like it's just like fuck, and we're still in it. Like sometimes people, I've had this conversation with people where they're like, oh, it would have been so much better 40 years ago. Like now we have all this crap, and like, oh my God, this is happening, and social media, and that's happening, and social media doesn't help. And I'm like, no. Things were better. My dad talks about walking to school and doing like atomic bomb tests, like our drills. And he's like, people were building bomb shelters, and then all that. Like, I'm like, it all, like, as long as humans are around, there's always going to be just shit going on. The fire will be burning.
The fire will burn on. Yeah, no, it
on and on and on and on.
Yes. One of the things I love to do, like as a regular thing, I picked it up maybe 2 years ago, is I have a book club that I do, and we focus on books that are like around mindfulness and consciousness and things like that. And they can be applied to certain skill sets, like how to have difficult conversations or how to design your life, things like that. But my favorite one is A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle that we read. A little bit of a difficult read, like beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but like definitely like some concepts in there that are like we're still working through every day.
Yeah.
But one of the things I love about it is it just talks about like humans are dysfunctional. Like that's part of our being and nature. It doesn't mean that we can't strive to like be more present with ourselves and like be more conscious. They talk about like we're very unconscious beings. Even if we're thinking, we aren't aware of our thoughts, kind of thing is what it would say. But that dysfunction, it's just like it is us, and hopefully we will. The book would claim that like we are on the precipice, in some sort of, tens, hundreds, maybe even 1,000-year scale. We're on the precipice of like the awakening of the next level of human evolution of
like tens of thousands of years. But
yeah, exactly. Like it could, yeah, exactly. But it's this idea of like, and we've been doing it since like, a few thousand years ago, of like people waking up to the consciousness and things like that. But we're still in a world completely, what's the right term for this? Completely fucked. Just like completely encompassed by turmoil and dysfunction, and like it's on display. It's very on display. Yeah. But that's just something. Yeah, like when I think of a song like this, I'm just like, okay, like yes, it's always going to be there. And if you think about today, like we talk about being in a generation of unprecedented things, right? So like. I don't know actually how old you are. You don't have to say, but I assume we're like.
Oh, I don't care. I'm 30. Yeah, I was born 91. You said
28. We're 29 here, so that's easy peasy. I think our generation is often in that conversation of like, we are living through unprecedented times. How many downturns can we go through? How many scares? How many brand news? And everything seems to be moving so fast. I don't think that's wrong, but I think it's also all we know. The beauty, the opportunity it provides our generation, if we can do it, if we can build on what the old generations tried to figure out, and we keep building on that and planting from the same soil that comes from the previous learnings, is that that everything's always changing, and it's about how we adapt to the change and how we grow from it and how we continue to push forward, and like hopefully we can do it a little better even with the turmoil. So
yeah. Oh, that was beautifully said. And
we didn't start the fire, but we did try to fight it.
We did try to fight it. We didn't light it.
And we'll keep trying. We'll keep trying.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I think you couldn't have said it better with, it's like such a stereotypical, like the only thing that's constant is change.
Is change.
But it is, it's like a little poster with a cat, like chasing a butterfly kind of thing. But but it's true. And it's I think the people that thrive are the ones that are most adaptable. And that's evolution. Any species that couldn't evolve and adapt to the weather changing, their whatever changing to the survival of the fittest, they died out, and the stronger ones kept going and repopulating. And so that's kind of what we have to do as humans, that like the ones that can adapt will grow stronger and move forward. I'm so like, I don't really believe this is what happens when we die, but I want so badly for when I die that my heaven is like a giant movie theater, and I get to sit and I've got like endless wine and endless popcorn, and I never get like too shit-faced, I never get full, and I get to watch what happens. My movie is like Earth. I'm like, I have been invested into this series my entire life, and while I was here, I've been learning about what happened before, and then just when we die, we just don't get to know it. Like, I need to know what happens.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, do we all just end up killing ourselves? Does a meteor actually end the world? Does the water levels do rise and everything sinks? Like, I want to know.
Yeah.
Or like, do we get flying cars? That makes me, that
Did it
can keep me
work
up
out?
at night. That
Yeah.
I don't, whatever happens after death, all I just really hope is that somehow we can know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a quote that Barbara Streisand uses before she sings "Make Our Garden Grow" in one of my favorite performances ever, and she says, she's quoting somebody else, of course, but she says the world will thrive when like old men plant trees they will never see grow to full, to their full tree, whatever. I'm really bad at that quote, but it's roughly that. It's just like, that's when the world, like, that's when we will be good, is when we plant seeds that we will never see grow into the tree. And we're like, that is what we're willing to put out into the world. But I do hope we get to watch it, to the point of, it's like, I don't need to actually sit under the shade of the tree that I planted.
I just want to know,
but I want to know, I hope that it makes it to that stage, and I hope that it can provide beauty and, positivity in the future.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
One thing you mentioned that I just wanted to, one last wrap on it was, you talked about like when we're talking about like evolution of humans and stuff like that, and like survival of the fittest, it's interesting because the Eckhart Tolle has this one concept, and he pulls from a lot of philosophy, so it's not like brand new Eckhart Tolle. He's just very good at packaging it to make it a little more accessible. But one of the concepts is like this, a little more confusing as well. But it's this idea of like suffering will create its own downfall. Is that like we can only take so much suffering, and so even in the struggle that we all go through, like that is what often leads to these windows of our own consciousness, because we're like, well, I can't continue to just suffer in this. I can't, that will not last. Like I will either fall prey to that, or I have to find another path. And usually the path is like recognizing consciousness, living present in the moment, and to know that kind of mechanism exists. And that's how I came into what I would say is like those early windows of consciousness when I was younger, was like, as a queer youth who was closeted, it was like the suffering was so intense, and I didn't have a lot of options. And one of the options was to kind of zoom out of myself and be just like, you will be okay. Like you will find love, and like that will come. And for now, all you have to do is just be present with yourself. And, that's an oversimplification of that moment, but that is ultimately what it boiled down to, is that like, it got so bad that I just couldn't keep going down that dysfunctional suffering pathway. And so the beauty is that, like, hopefully as humans, we find a new way than just like survival of the fittest. It's like a hybrid, I think, that we'll have as humanity, of like, we are going to find a new set of values in which we align to as humanity. That's going to be hopefully beautiful and hopefully alleviate suffering, so that people don't have to suffer so much to find that consciousness, but we can kind of pass it on. That's what I hope. I don't know if we're great at it yet, but I do think that there's a movement right now of people awakening and teaching others and trying to help others find their own, their own paths to their own consciousness. It's very cool. It's very wordy. So in case anyone's listening to this and they're like, oh, they really went on a left turn, I would just say, like, if New Earth might be a little bit hard as a starting point, I would say The Power of Now is a great book by Eckhart Tolle that like everybody has read. It's very accessible, and that's a good starting point for this kind of work, but I'm very passionate about it. And Biddy's Book Club, in case anyone will ever like to join, is wide open for, people I know and people I don't know alike. So.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Plug yourself. Where can we find you on Instagram and everything?
I can do that.
Shamelessly plug.
Shameless, just a little shame. So Biddy here, Biddy Bee, everywhere, Instagram, YouTube. I don't have a Twitter, Venmo, all of those things. Like everywhere is just in case, at Biddy Bee Drag, Biddy Bee, like the bug, drag. And that's, all platforms and website, biddybeedrag.com. Like every few months, I just put out a book that it's like, this is our next book. If you're interested, send me an Instagram message. It's something, it's like, for me, that's a passion project. That's what energizes me, to see people come to these moments of like epiphany, and like through a community-based book club. It's a really powerful kind of matching of like self-learning and also learning in community and growing together.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. I'm going to check out your books, because I always read, it's like I'm either reading an biography, or I'm reading a self-help, self-awareness, like mindfulness book. It's like those are the only things I read.
Yeah.
If I want to see fiction, I watch movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll just watch the movie. Exactly.
Yeah.
These are all the, I would say, in the self-help genre, but I try to figure out like which are like the really good ones of that category.
Have you read Think Like a Monk?
I have not. Think Like a Monk.
I've read it twice. It's Jay Shetty. He's like my favorite podcast to listen to. He's like the number one podcast in health and like mindfulness. And he was a monk for 3 years, and he was raised in England. His family's from India, raised in England, and he like went to business school, all this. And then he was like, I'm going to leave everything and go be a monk. And then he did that, and then was like, something's not right here. And then they were kind of like, your dharma is to go spread this in the world. And he's crushing it. He's like, every celebrity is on his podcast, and he'll have people that are like monks on there, but then he'll have the top fashion models. Like Giselle Bunchkin is on there. Miranda Kerr was his last guest. He's had all the Smiths on there. I don't know if now that's like a good point with Will Smith or whatever. I'm not going to go there, but
that's
he's
very
like really
current.
good friends with their family. I know, it's so current, but talk about someone like I can listen to his voice all day, and the way he hits it on the nail, and it's so accessible. He makes it so accessible, and it's not like, he meditates for 2 hours a day, but he's not like my morning routine. He's like, if all you can do is 10 breaths a day, like think of the difference. Like you have to read Think Like a Monk. It's like a Bible to me. I will never not have that book by my bed.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I always am like adding to the list, and the list is fairly short too. So that sounds like one I'll pick up this year. Actually, that sounds amazing.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, I'll join that one again too.
Yeah. And then my other gateway book that is a little more, again, just like less hippie woo woo. I love a hippie woo woo, but I started with something called Crucial Conversations, which doesn't use a single kind of term that is in the mindfulness world, but is 100% a mindfulness based book. And it's meant for people who probably would be, just be like, no, I couldn't, like, I won't.
You're like, just take a couple puffs. Yeah. Come on. It's not going to hurt you.
Exactly. This is the gateway book.
One hit's not going to make you a druggie.
Yeah. I've done this book. I've done a book club on that 6 or 7 times now, within different groups I've been a part of, and like have been very lucky to have had that in my life. Big life
that's
changer,
awesome.
just
I need
from
to
a
check that one
skill
out.
set too.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You have to definitely come on the podcast again, because we obviously can sit and talk very easily for a long time.
It was an absolute pleasure. Yeah, this was fun. And I was just like, I mean, this could be kind of fun. We didn't start the
Matt
fire.
texted me that, I was like, done.
Yeah.
This is like such a gold mine of like historical knowledge and mixed
I know
with like one of my favorite songs. And
and this kicked up. You've had a bunch of like ones we were talking about music too recently, right? So this kind of is like the end of a little series. Maybe not the end, never know.
Yeah, it's music may.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Kelsey, I had a very, very small chime in on that episode, mostly just to clarify that y'all were not singing
Weezer.
Ray
I know, we were like, I was like the second line in, and I was like, this is not Sugar Ray, this for sure is Weezer. But I was so caught up in like loving that song, because I love that song, that I didn't stop, and I was like, oh, this is so not cool. But whoops.
But I loved in that episode. It was probably one of the toughest ones to stay sideline on, because I was like, oh, I want to be in this conversation. But then this episode would have been like 2 hours long. So it was probably for the best that I stayed on the sidelines. But what I wanted to talk about was that I do think that Biddy kind of introduced a concept that I would have never thought of, which is like, I feel like some people could try to argue like, we didn't start the fires, not really that much before your time, but the context of what it was talking about and the history that it's trying to cover very much is. And it does kind of open this weird door. And I don't know if it's a door that we're necessarily going to walk through again or often, but it makes me wonder, like, maybe we should be paying attention to, like, if a documentary about something drops and we're like, hey, this new doc just dropped about the history of, this thing from the 60s and 70s. Do we both just want to watch that and do like a
I'm not opposed to it, because it's still, because the subject is still on something that was before our time.
Exactly. So Kelsey, if anybody's listening and they're thinking, oh, you idiots, how did you not know who Joe Lamardo was, or whatever some of the names were that were in that song, where can they go to properly educate us on every major historical event that happened from 1949 until 1989?
I think Biddy educated me on a lot of those, so I was there was a few we slid by, getting that B grade. Please let us know on Facebook. Just search Before My Time, and we will pop up, or you can find us on Instagram at BeforeMyTime_podcast. Also, give us a 5-star review, 'cause it was always burning since the world was turning. Give us a 5-star review, and then write, hey, they are fucking awesome. Okay, bye.
It is mind-blowing
and heartbreaking
how many original scripts are written every year but are never made.
So we seek out these scripts and bring them to life with full audio production and professional actors.
Check us out at Undiscovered Scripts,
Movies made of paper,
wherever you get your podcasts.
Free!
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.